1:15 p.m. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news, edited by Danushka Madhavela and read by Mario Vijayavardhana. The headlines. The government says it will take steps to provide relief for the people during the upcoming festive season. Investigations will recommence regarding the death of businessman Dinesh Shafter. The National Dengue Control Unit says that the number of high-risk dengue areas are being increased. The Sri Lankan Embassy of Nepal says that no Sri Lankans were injured or harmed by the recent earthquakes which occurred in western Nepal. In foreign news, Arab nations demand Gaza ceasefire, but the US warns this would help Hamas. In sports news, Max Verstappen wins SP Grand Prix sprint race from Lando Norris. The Minister of Trade, Commerce and Food Security, Nalin Fernando, says that the government will take steps to provide relief for the people during the upcoming festive season. The minister said the measures have been taken to stabilize the prices of the essential items. He also said that steps have already been taken to import essentials for the upcoming festive season. The police say that investigations will recommence regarding the death of businessman Dinesh Shafter. Investigations were carried out by the Organised Crime Division of the police. The court has ruled that this death was a murder after the investigations carried out by the special committee appointed by court. The police media spokesman SSP Nihal Taldua says that investigations will recommence after the court verdict. The National Dengue Control Unit says that the number of high-risk dengue areas are increasing. The NCD says the prevailing rainy weather conditions are the main reason for this increase. The director of the National Dengue Control Unit, Dr. Nalini Aryavansa, says the number of high-risk dengue areas is now 36. Many areas have been identified with dengue mosquito breeding places. Not only households, many public places such as government and private institutions have also been identified as dengue mosquito breeding sites. The NCD says more than 69,000 dengue patients have been identified so far this year. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The Sri Lankan Embassy of Nepal says that no Sri Lankan was injured or harmed by the recent earthquake which occurred in Nepal. Around 100 Sri Lankans are living in Nepal, and many of them are living in the Kathmandu and Pokhara areas. The Sri Lankan Embassy of Nepal announces that the earthquake was reported in the far western areas of Nepal, and no Sri Lankan was reported to be injured or harmed due to this. The Sri Lanka College of Endocrinologists say that more than 23% of the Sri Lankan population has diabetes at present. The chairman of the association, Dimuthu Muthukuda, says that another 30% suffers with early diabetes conditions. She said that when compared to the other Asian countries, Sri Lanka is in a high-risk area. There are many school and teenagers too with diabetes at present. 8 sluice gates of the Udavalave Reservoir have been opened due to the heavy rains in the area. Furthermore, 5 spill gates of the Daduru Oya Reservoir have also been opened. The Department of Irrigation said the people living in the low-lying areas must remain vigilant as water levels of the Valave and Daduru Oya are rising rapidly. It has also issued an extension of the amber flood warnings for the river basin of the Nilbala Ganga for an additional 24 hours. Our provincial correspondents say that several medium and large-scale tanks in the Anuradhapura area are overflowing due to the prevailing heavy rains. Several sluice gates of the Rajangana Reservoir have also been opened. More paddy lands have also been inundated. HackX, the country's premier inter-university startup challenge, will be conducting its grand finals at the Dialogue Idea Mart auditorium premises today. Undergraduates from across Sri Lanka, including both state and private universities, will be battling it out for the grand prize by pitching their innovative solutions to existing real-world problems in a technological aspect. HackX 2023 is an exhilarating event that encompasses various phases, showcasing the brilliance of young minds in the world of innovation and technology. This illustrious event is annually organized by the Industrial Management Science Students Association, the official student body of the Department of Industrial Management of the Faculty of Science of the University of Kelaniya. Radio Sri Lanka of the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation is the official broadcasting partner of this event.
The main news story is brought to you by Sinhala Veda Mahatmya.
President Ranil Wickremesinghe, in his capacity as a finance minister, will present the budget 2024 to Parliament on the 13th of November at 12 noon. The debate on the second reading of the 2024 budget will begin on the 14th of November and continue for 7 days up to the 21st of November. Following the debate, the vote on the second reading of the budget will be taken on the 21st of November at 6 p.m. The committee stage debate or the third reading debate on the budget will begin on the 22nd of November and continue until the 13th of December. The vote on the third reading of the budget 2024 will be taken on the 13th of December at 6 p.m. The Office of the Chief Government Whip has informed all government members of Parliament that it is essential to stay in Parliament during the budget debate.
The main news story was brought to you by Sinhala Vedamahatmya.
And now in Watchlight, the National Child Protection Authority says it has received 7,523 complaints in the first 8 months of 2023. More than 4,000 complaints related to crimes against children are related to children in need of care, compulsory education and cruelty. That came to you in Watchlight. In world news headlines now, Arab nations demand Gaza ceasefire but the US warns this would help Hamas. Zelensky says Israel-Gaza conflict is taking focus away from fighting. Hostage situation at Germany's Hamburg airport, the police say. Arab countries demand an immediate ceasefire in Gaza, but the US warns this would allow Hamas to regroup. The US Secretary of State Anthony Blinken has met leaders from Lebanon, Qatar and Jordan in Amman as he pushes for humanitarian pauses in the fighting. But Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said on Friday there will be no temporary ceasefire with Hamas in Gaza until all Israeli hostages are released. Earlier, US envoys said 350,000 to 400,000 people remain in northern Gaza, which Israel has warned civilians to leave. The Israeli military is also carrying out strikes in the south, and the UN says no part of Gaza is safe. Israel began bombing Gaza after Hamas killed more than 1,400 people in Israel and kidnapped more than 200 others. The Hamas-run health ministry in Gaza says more than 9,400 people have been killed in the Strip since the 7th of October. The Israel-Gaza war is taking away the focus from the conflict in Ukraine, the country's President Volodymyr Zelensky has admitted. He said this was one of the goals of Russia, which launched a full-scale invasion of Ukraine in February 2022. And he denied that fighting in Ukraine had reached a stalemate, despite a recent assessment to this effect by the country's top military general. Ukraine's counter-offensive in the south has so far made little headway. This has prompted fears of war fatigue among Kiev's Western allies, with suggestions of growing reluctance in some capitals to continue giving Ukraine advanced weapons and funds. In a separate development on Saturday, Ukrainian Defense Minister Rustem Umerov confirmed that Ukrainian soldiers from the 128th Mountain Assault Brigade Zakharpataya were killed, ordering a full investigation in what he described as a tragedy. Police in the German city of Hamburg are dealing with a suspected hostage situation at the airport after an armed man drove through a security barrier and onto the tarmac. There are at least 2 people in the car, including a child, police say. Officers are in contact with the driver, who entered the airport on Saturday evening. The suspect's wife is reported to have alleged a possible child abduction. In a statement, the police say they believe that a custody dispute is the background to this operation. They said the suspect shot his weapon twice in the air and threw burning bottles from the vehicle. And now the main points of the world news segment once again. Arab nations demand Gaza ceasefire, but the US warns this would help Hamas. Zelensky says Israel-Gaza conflict taking focus away from fighting. Hostage situation at Germany's Hamburg airport, the police say.
Development News.
The Minister of Wildlife and Forest Resources Conservation, Pavitra Banyarache, opened the new Dayagama walking trail entrance and ticketing office of the Horton Plains National Park recently, with the entire infrastructure constructed at the financial cost of the Tokyo Cement Group. It has become difficult for the Department of Wildlife Conservation to carry out such construction, the minister said, and that the Tokyo Cement Group's work on the new Dayagama walking trail entrance should be highly appreciated. With this new entrance, a great opportunity has arisen for tourists to see another aspect of the Horton Plains by hiking.
Moving on with sports news.
Red Bull's Max Verstappen drove to a comfortable victory in the Sao Paulo Grand Prix sprint race after passing Lando Norris's McLaren at the start. Verstappen's better launch secured him in the inside line for the first corner and he controlled the race from there. Norris slipped back to third on the first lap behind George Russell's Mercedes but repassed him on lap 5. Red Bull's Sergio Perez recovered from dropping behind Russell and teammate Lewis Hamilton to finish third.
Go ekak thiyana youth eකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු වීන හැබැයි කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all-new NSB Ithru Mithru account. NSB I am, a plan for your dream.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Apple sales have continued to fall despite strong demand for its iPhones and services like streaming platform Apple TV+. The tech giant says revenues dipped 1% to $89.5 billion in the 3 months to 30th of September when compared with the same period last year. Sales of its Mac computers and iPads struggled after a post-lockdown surge in interest. It marks the fourth quarter in a row where sales have fallen year on year. In an update to investors, the firm said that profits had reached $23 billion, helped by a new record for iPhone sales in the 3-month period.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekak thiyana youth එකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු වීන හැබැයි කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all-new NSB Ithru Mithru account. NSB I am, a plan for your dream.
And now in economic news, the average weighted prime lending rate at licensed commercial banks has increased by 2 basis points to 13.88% this week. According to data from the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, the AWPR at commercial banks was 13.86% last week, while it was high as 26.56% a year ago. The considerable reduction comes after the monetary board reduced the policy interest rate during 2 consecutive months earlier this year and another reduction last month.
Weather report.
Showers or thunder showers will occur at several places in most provinces after the island after 2 p.m. Fairly heavy showers above 75 millimeters are likely at some places in the central and western, Sabaragamu, northwestern, north central and southern provinces. The general public is kindly requested to take adequate precautions to minimize damages caused by temporary localized strong winds and lightning during the thunder showers. That was the weather report, and now the headlines of this news broadcast once again. The government says it will take steps to provide relief for the people during the upcoming festive season. Investigations will recommence regarding the death of businessman Dinesh Shafter. The National Dengue Control Unit says the number of high-risk dengue areas are increasing. The Sri Lankan Embassy of Nepal says that no Sri Lankans were injured or harmed by the recent earthquake which occurred in western Nepal. In foreign news, Arab nations demand Gaza ceasefire, but the US warns this would help Hamas. In sports news, Max Verstappen wins Sao Paulo Grand Prix sprint race from Lando Norris. That concludes this news broadcast, and now it's back to Dilshan Dimel on the other side. Surprise, surprise, surprise. So all the fans of Dilshan, all you fans out there, you are in for a treat this Sunday afternoon with Dilshan Dimel on the other side. Over to you, Dilshan.